I ask you one question. Was Vyacheslav Kozlov the forgotten member of the Russian Five? The Detroit Red Wings drafted young Kozlov in the 3rd round, 45th overall in the 1990 NHL Entry Level Draft. You've got to remember this was during a time where the uncertainty of these young Russian players being able to defect to North America was in real question. Drafting these players this high in the draft was a huge risk because you may never see them within your franchise, let alone your lineup. The year before Kozlov was drafted, Jim DeVellano and the Detroit Red Wings selected the great Sergei Fedorov in the 4th round, 74th overall. Vladimir Konstantinov was the last player chosen in 1989. He went in the 11th round, 221st overall, the same year as Fedorov. Many people consider that to be the best Detroit Red Wings draft of all time, and it is hard to argue. The draft doesn't even go that many rounds anymore. The current format ends at the conclusion of the 7th round. More from Octopus Thrower. 3 members of the Russian Five, the Detroit Red Wings, were bargains. For 2 reasons, the Detroit Red Wings were credited with being one of the first teams overseas scouting. In turn, their European scouting was well advanced by the time the rest of league caught on and started scouting abroad themselves. Another reason was the risk of the player not being released by the Red Army, Russian government, allowing them to play in the NHL. In the film, The Russian Five, directed by Joshua Reel, Jim DeVellano explains that a scout mentioned to him about this young kid, Slava Kozlov, being the best 15-year-old player he'd ever seen. DeVellano replies, "Best Russian 15-year-old." The scout replied, "No, best ever." DeVellano felt he needed to grab Kozlov in the 3rd round rather than wait until the 4th as he did the year before with Fedorov, for fear another franchise may have seen Kozlov and followed suit as the Wings did in '89 feet by taking him in the 4th round before the Detroit Red Wings had a chance to pick him. When you say the term Russian Five, what comes to your mind first? I'm sure Kozlov is the 5th name you think of first. I think of Sergei Fedorov. That is simply because he is personally my favorite of the group. He's actually one of my favorite hockey players of all time. See, I am admittedly biased. The second is Vladdy. I hate to say it, but because of the devastating accident, he was a Norris Trophy candidate in back-to-back seasons prior to the limousine accident. He was a top defender in the NHL. He was entering the prime of his career, and we were left to wonder what could have been if that unfortunate accident didn't occur. Igor Lariano was nicknamed the Professor. In 1995, the Detroit Red Wings sent a former 50-goal scorer and Ray Shepard to the Sharks for Lariano, so the price was steep, but in the end, it would pay off in a big way. Slava Fedosov. Detroit acquired in a deal with the New Jersey Devils for a 3rd-round pick in 1995. The Wings would end up being swept by the Devils in the '95 Stanley Cup Finals. When Fedosov defected to North America, he was regarded as one of the best defensemen in the world. We'll talk much more about Fedosov another time. Basically what I've tried to say is Kozlov always seems to be the 5th guy mentioned. He had a tremendous career, a better career than many people probably realize. He played sparingly in his first 2 seasons, in which he made a mere 24 NHL appearances. In those combined 24 games he recorded 7 points. He was able to burst onto the scene at the age of 21 in 1993. He played 77 games and scored 34 goals, added 39 assists and totaled 73 points. He was a +27 and owned a shooting percentage of nearly 17%. The 2-time Stanley Cup champion continued on for 16 more years in the NHL. He was the main player sent to the Buffalo Sabres in a deal that landed the Detroit Red Wings goaltender Dominik Hasek. The Wings also sent a 1st-round pick that would end up being Jim Slater, who recorded 138 total points throughout his career. Kozlov also continued to thrive into his mid-30s while playing with Ilya Kovalchuk and Marian Jose as a member of the Atlanta Thrashers. From the age of 33 to 36, he recorded point totals of 71, 80, 41, 76 respectively in consecutive seasons. This brings me to a conclusion. I wonder if Slava Kozlov wasn't just overlooked as a member of the Wings. I wonder if he isn't a Hall of Famer? Igor Lariano, Sergei Fedorov, and Slava Fedosov are all represented in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Surely if Vladdy were able to continue his career, he'd be in the Hoff. Lariano started his NHL career later in life at the age of 29. He recorded 644 career NHL points in 921 games. Next, flashback Friday Vladimir Konstantinov Wanter voice heard. Join the Octopus Thrower team. Write for us. Kozlov played in 11 career NHL games, recording 356 goals, 497 assists, totaling 853 career points. The Hall of Fame is the Hockey Hall of Fame, and not just the NHL players are represented. It begs me to wonder if the Hoff shouldn't have the entire group represented. It was a unique time and a critical part of hockey history.